looking at game one between Miami and Atlanta, there's a lot of things that could be talked about offensively. A lot of different guys popped off. But the thing is the defense. Obviously, Trae Young, 1 for 12, really struggled overall. But it wasn't just a rough night for Trae Young. It was a defense from Miami absolutely swarming, throwing different bodies at him, and just making his life miserable and other shooters on this team. So I just want to go through some of the defensive possessions that kind of stood out and the reasons kind of happening. The first one, just a quick show, just the Bam switch that they're going to have Kyle on him to start right here. Bam's going to switch out, and just to show the length that can bother him. And it's also as a scorer, but it's also as the passer because, yeah, Kyle Lowry is going to be cutting over to guard Okongwu, but he can't get this pass in. As you see Bam's length, he gets him, tries to lob it over the top, ends up with a steal, and it's going the other way. That's kind of the first one. Another one, this is kind of the idea of everything Miami likes to do all year. PJ Tucker on the guard, Bam's going to get the center, switch, and you kind of have a win-win every way possible because obviously PJ can handle himself down there by himself. Right here, they get the switch. Now Kyle's going to go. PJ's going to turn just enough time right here to just kind of cut him off in a lot of ways that he doesn't have an open lane. But as I go back and show it in full speed just to get the full experience, this isn't normal by Bam to be able to kind of just PJ slows him down, but Bam just takes it right out of his hands and goes in the opposite direction. Goes right here, gets by, Bam swipes down, just easily takes it out of his hands. He goes the other way, ends up in a bucket. Another one. Speaking of the PJ Bam dynamic, right here, switch out. PJ contains and kind of holds off the big, switches back, and Trae Young bricks it kind of off the rim. And that was kind of how a lot of his shots were. It was a lot of perimeter based. They were not letting him to the rim. As you see in that last one, when he was getting to the rim, it was a swarm of PJ and Bam and rotation guys waiting to kind of cut him off. Now he's kind of chucking from the perimeter, which he can get hot from. But when you're containing the way PJ and Bam were containing, Jimmy deserves a lot of credit because he was guarding him. Gabe deserves probably even more credit because he was kind of getting into him full court. But just the dynamic of their base defense, their base pick and roll coverage of PJ and Bam, it just shifts things in a series. And it's the thing we saw it with DeRozan and Vucevic early in the season. We saw it with Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. Those were kind of the two teams that we saw it most often. Now we're seeing it a little bit more, and we're going to see it again depending on if they win this series and they get to another decent guard big matchup. Another one, just speaking of bothering him and Bam being the kind of rotation guy. There were times early in this game or even later in this game where they were just trying to pull Bam away from the play as much as possible. They were basically saying, we're going to plant. If they want to switch Bam out onto Trae every time, we're going to say, Trae, you get in the corner, pull Bam away, and allow a guy like Gallinari to get in the post and not have to worry about the weak side help, or Bogdanovich to maybe get going, which he absolutely did not. Right here, so go back a little bit more, swings to that corner. Now Bam's waiting for the help, gets into his grill. He can't. And this is what happens also with how many layers there are to Miami's defense. Because if you look at, you could watch this play so many times and look at a different guy. First time you could watch Kyle, because right now he's guarding Trae Young, who's going to make this pass. After Bam switches out, he sees that. He cuts off Okongwu right here where they can't make a bounce pass around Bam. So what's next? Okay, so who's going to be open? Yeah, well, Kyle Lowry's guy, Trae Young's wide open. He's going to try to make that pass. Jimmy Butler, best skill that he has is kind of reading offenses in that way, where he knows it's coming. He picks it off like the free safety that we always mention. Now he's going the other way. Another thing about Jimmy Butler, he's very good against bigger players. When they're trying to post him up, he just can use his body to his advantage, and he also can get timely steals, and he knows how to reach around. Right here, he tries to reach around. He ends up not getting it. He backs him down twice. He goes for the reach. He gets around, but he keeps his left hand in there to end up scooping it out. And once again, it ends in a turnover. It ends in an empty possession for Atlanta. And that's kind of the story here. Atlanta is known for their very bad defense and their very good offense. But when you're kind of neutralizing their offense in this way and making it a non-factor on the perimeter, and then you're forcing a guy in Gallinari to back Jimmy Butler down all the way, and that's your way of going about offense, it just gets rough really quickly. Another one, this was a pretty interesting possession in terms of Jimmy and Bam working together. Everybody likes to talk about that combo, I guess, offensively when it doesn't work because of spacing. I know what does work with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and that's defense. Right here, Jimmy's on Trae. He's kind of helping over like they always do. But the thing is, when Bam helps over right here, as I go back a little bit just to show this position, he's not like other players where he's doubling and you're kind of just getting an open three out of it. He has a better recovery speed than probably any player in this league, where not only can he realize that he needs to recover, but he can also cover as much ground as anybody. Right here, off the catch. He gets there, and that is not an easy shot right there. That is a complete contest. Now it flows back into the corner. Bam, guarding Hunter, drawing him inside. And there's just not better defense than that. Probably a little bit of a travel. Now it's a kick out to Trey. Jimmy's flying out there. Once again, empty possession. It was just a rough night for Trey. It was a rough night for Atlanta. But this wasn't an out of the blue thing. Like, this is something, it's not that they're going to have this consistently, that Atlanta's offense is going to be this flat. But it was the reasoning was because of the Miami Heat's defense. It was the scheme they put in, the versatility that they have, and the different guys they have overall just across the board as my ringtone goes off. That they could throw so many bodies at you, that they have these Gabes, that they have a Caleb that didn't even play, that they didn't get to use. Bam, Jimmy, Kyle, PJ, they all saw time on him, significant time on him. And that's what's going to make not only this series, but other potential series just really interesting for this team defensively.